Hi, I'm Doug Frost. With a century and a half of winemaking under its belt, Missouri has a lot to show you. If you just head to a winery, you can meet the growers, meet the owners, meet the winemaker. Best of all, you get to taste the wine. Cheers.
Missouri wine has a very deep history.
It all started in the mid-1800s.
German immigrants in particular.
Some of the earliest ones were actually the missionaries.
They gravitated to the Missouri River.
In Herman was where it originally all started.
An area that was very similar to the area that they had come from.
So it was a natural fit for them to decide to plant the grapes. When you go into these regions, you'll find that they're very hilly.
The stone buildings from the late 1800s still standing.
They're very kind of gently rolling areas.
A great example of the beauty of, the late 1800s.
They started experimenting with different grapes.
And had brought, clippings from their vines in Germany and really started the process.
Eventually, they started planting a lot of the more Native American grapes, which is what you're going to find in a lot of the wineries now. Missouri was one of the largest wine-growing regions in the U.S.
Frederick Minch, he was one of the early viticulturists in the Missouri wine history. But he did a huge amount for the hybridizing and growth of native varieties. Yeah, they all looked like that in those days. Everybody in the wine business looked like that. Maybe that's why they drank, I don't know.
Well, Missouri absolutely did save French wines because of the phylloxera outbreak.
France was the first ones to have a problem with phylloxera, which is a louse that attacks the rootstocks.
And the phylloxera devastated the vineyards in Europe.
People didn't really know what the cause was. They tried all kinds of things, flooding the vineyards, bleaching the vineyards, and nothing works. What are we going to do?
George Huseman and Charlie Riley
pretty much single-handedly saved Europe. He said, hey, our rootstocks are, resistant to it.
The American rootstocks are much more hardy.
And they went around the state of Missouri and collected up tons of rootstock.
Millions of rootstocks that were exported to Europe and planted in the vineyards of Europe.
But saved the European wine industry as a result.
Missouri wineries were enjoying a great prominence in the early 1900s.
And continued to grow rapidly up until Prohibition.
Prohibition was a bummer. Thank God that didn't last very long.
The noble experiment, they called it.
Closed down every winery in the state.
Missouri lost all of its vineyards.
They're spilling wine into the streets.
Well, they poured it down a drain.
And they destroyed, this industry that was thriving.
It was certainly experimental, but not very noble.
It took a long time for Missouri to get going again.
From that point on, it's been one ride and changes every day.
Missouri has had such a long and deep history that it's only natural that we would have a fabulous wine industry today. There are a lot of varieties that actually grow in Missouri. Norton.
The Norton.
Norton.
The Norton is fantastic. Wins golds and silvers
And European competitions.
Often thought of as similar to Italian wine, southern France, northern Spain.
Bold, strong flavors, deep color, ages well.
Probably one of the most diverse grapes I've ever tasted.
Another variety that grows well in Missouri is Seyval Blanc.
Seyval Blanc.
Seyval Blanc.
Kind of a crisp, minerally white wine,
Very versatile.
which is perfect on a hot summer day.
My favorite white wine in Missouri is Chardonnay.
Chardonnay grape.
Chardonnay is one that's getting a lot of attention now.
The Chardonnay, which is actually a hybrid.
Hybrid of Chardonnay and Seyval.
And there's some beautiful Chardonnays being made.
One of the fascinating developments, in my opinion, has been the oncoming of vignoles.
Vignoles.
Almost a Germanic late harvest style.
Really versatile,
Very good dry wines.
really tasty.
Marvelous, marvelous sweet wines.
Chambourcin is extremely food friendly.
Vidal Blanc can be made in a dry barrel fermented style like Chardonnay, or it can be used to make very good late harvest wines.
The Traminette.
Oh yeah, the Chardonnay.
It's a white wine that's very floral. It has kind of a rose aroma.
Really mirrors some great Alsatian winemaking.
I'm a big fan of the ports.
Beautifully rich and velvety port that has won major competitions internationally against porthouses.
It's more than just grabbing a bottle of wine and drinking it with dinner.
These are great wines.
And I mean, that's, I think, a testament to the dedication that the winemakers in Missouri have.
The level of craftsmanship and pride in the Missouri wine industry is extremely high.
I think the commitment level of Missouri wineries to make quality wines has been evident really since the late 1970s.
Missouri wines are just waiting to be discovered.
I love to pair food with wine.
Food is supposed to complement wine, and wine is supposed to complement food.
There's no greater pleasure. That's just what being a chef is all about.
The cool part about Missouri wines, though, is they're so distinctive and you can do so many really cool things with them.
They're deep in color, deep in flavor. They're incredibly rich, robust wines, and they just pair up magically with food. It's nice to go out, talk to the winemakers, talk about their philosophy, get information about the wine, taste the wine, and then bring those wines into my restaurant. For example, great Missouri rainbow trout with roasted local chanterelles, and it pairs beautifully with a great Missouri Chardonnay. We'll use the Norton, and we'll pair it with a grilled rack of lamb, also local.
Serve it with like a soy caramel glaze, some honey roasted pine nuts.
The Sèvres Blanc, it pairs up really well with shellfish and lighter fish dishes.
Some double thick pork chops with a big cherry chutney. And you gotta get a potato in there somewhere. Maybe some good old-fashioned whipped Yukon Gold potatoes.
I want to sit down and have, you know, some type of barbecue with this. I just want a huge platter of goat cheese with this wine. To be able just to sit down, have a glass of Missouri port, very simply with maybe a flourless chocolate cake, some fresh berries. There's nothing better than that. What wonderful food and wine pairings are available to chefs like myself as a result of just being within an hour of a lot of great wineries.
Cheers.
When you go to Missouri wine country, the experience can be anything that you want it to be.
We have several really outstanding wine areas to visit.
Each with their own character.
There's the Augusta area with the Katy Trail.
St. John is a very French flavor.
There's the Herman area, which is such a historic area.
Some have restaurants, or you can bring a picnic.
There's some terrific bed and breakfast.
You can meet the winemakers, you can go on tours.
The St. James area was one of the most historic areas also.
The wines at each place is totally different.
The rolling hillsides overlooking the Missouri River Valley.
It's so much more welcoming and less snooty and just more comfortable, and it's a great place to spend the day.
Get a bunch of friends, hop in the car, and spend a day in wine country.
It's absolutely breathtaking, and the views here are just fabulous.
You know, it's picturesque, you get green, rolling hills.
The wine is spectacular.
It's beautiful and scenic and relaxing, and the perfect climate, an evening with friends.
It's wonderful.
There's lots of stuff going on at the Missouri wineries. There's the Grape Stomp, there's the Mayfest, there's Oktoberfest.
You can hear rock bands, you can hear swing bands.
You can even just hop on the Katy Trail and ride your bike around from place to place.
You can hear a lot of oompa music.
It's really hard to get bored in Missouri wine country.
A lot of shopping.
There are so many neat places to stop at.
You can rent a bike and ride the trail.
It was our first time to stay at a bed and breakfast, and it was a pleasant experience.
It was great.
8 different tastings to 10 different tastings of wine, which was great because I got to go from the dry to the sweet.
Take a walk through the vineyards and experience that wonderful smell of the flowering of the vines.
All the different wineries kind of band together and give you a map, and it gives you a way to get around wine country and kind of helps you explore it on your own.
From the drive out here to the tasting to the camaraderie.
By the end of the day at the winery, you're going to have new friends.
It's a good time, and you can kind of just travel around to all the different wineries.
We've been here all day. It's just been fabulous.
It's all good.
It's great.
Go to the winery, buy a few bottles, and call it a day.
There are hardly any places in the U.S. where you can actually just go an hour or two outside of the city and be in beautiful wine country.
People can drive to a winery, let the people at the winery know that you're really interested in learning about wine, and they'll open up everything for you.
Everybody is so accommodating. I mean, we're talking about friendly staff, you know, eager to taste you on all of what they have to offer.
You can meet the winemakers, you can go on tours. I mean, it's a great way to spend an afternoon.
You're going to have an experience you've never had before.
It's just gorgeous.
It's just so interesting to have a chance to taste the wines from the different wine regions of Missouri.
I think you owe it to yourself to try local wines, because I think if you haven't, you're going to really be surprised.
We've got great winemakers here, a bright future.
Missouri wines have really matured over the past 10 years. They're very high quality, made with a great deal of craftsmanship.
Places well in all the competitions.
Every bottle of wine has a story behind it because it's a handcrafted thing.
It's a very exciting time to visit Missouri and taste the wines and visit the wineries.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.